Hey. Startled, I instinctively pulled the phone away from my ear. Hello, Michael. Sorry to bother you, but you're going to be late. On the day of this important presentation. That's some nerve you've got. The department head, Michael, was clearly furious. I'm well aware of the presentation, but there's someone injured right in front of me. I believe that it's only natural to help someone who's injured in front of you, even if you're not a doctor. I couldn't just leave the injured person behind. Don't think that excuse will fly, you incompetent. Don't bother coming in ever again. You are fired. It's my fault, but thank you so much. I've arranged for a car, so please get in. It's fine, but what do you mean by a car? Just as I muttered that, a black luxury car pulled up to the curb. Daniel, please come this way. At her urging, I got into a luxury car for the first time in my life. The car took off, leaving me clueless, and arrived at the company I work for. The same company I had just been fired from. My name is Daniel. I'm a 50-something-year-old salaryman. I used to work in sales at a small-scale company, but a few years ago, I changed jobs and now work at a medium-sized company. After graduating from a local university, I got a job in sales at a subsidiary focused on serving the local community. However, due to disagreements with the CEO, I decided to change jobs. Being a subsidiary focused on the local community meant that we were caught between our parent company and our clients. We had to generate profits or we could easily be shut down. I understand that a certain level of profit is necessary for the company's survival, but I couldn't follow the president's profit-first management style that disregards customers, leading me to decide to resign. Daniel, are you quitting? I was asked this by a customer I had been visiting for over 10 years, right at their doorstep. Yes, I'm leaving at the end of March. I'll make sure everything is properly handed over, so please don't worry. This customer had been a loyal client even before I joined a company. It's going to be lonely without you. Thank you for everything up till now. Daniel, that's my line. We laughed together. Are you going to start your own business? No, a mere salesman like me starting a business. Unthinkable. Some people of our age might leverage their experience to start their own businesses. However, I chose to leave the place I had worked for many years for a medium-sized company where I thought I could excel in sales more. Oh, are you moving far away? That's a shame. The nature of the sales work will be the same, but the products offered will be different. While it's gratifying that she would buy products from my new company out of loyalty to me, they wouldn't suit this particular customer. It's still going to be cold for a while, so please take care of yourself. Daniel, thank you so much. I said my final goodbyes to the customer and left their house. Leaving customers I had served for many years felt sad, but it was unavoidable. Thus, I left the subsidiary I had worked at for over 10 years. However, being a salesman at a subsidiary and at a medium-sized company turned out to be quite different. After clashing with the CEO at my previous company, I had hoped to avoid any more interpersonal conflicts, but life doesn't always go as planned. Hey, Daniel, isn't this customer data ready yet? The one calling me in a displeased tone was Michael. He's the head of the sales department here. He's about the same age as me, but because of his past achievements, he has an arrogant attitude towards his subordinates, making him unpopular with people from other departments who tend to keep their distance. However, given his position as department head and having connections in HR, everyone finds themselves in a dilemma, unable to confront him directly. In a medium-sized company, you interact with many customers and business partners, but the time you can spend with each customer is far less than at my previous company. Selling products isn't the only job of a salesperson. The content of what we recommend changes based on what customers want, which we understand through daily conversations. I knew this, but I was still surprised by the difference in emphasis once I started working. It was a path chosen for my own skill improvement, but the business was dizzying. Moreover, having caught my boss's eye made my days even more challenging. I'm terribly sorry. I received a call from a client yesterday and haven't finished yet. Even an intern could get this simple task done quickly, you know. I was grumbled at with sarcasm. Such sarcasm was a daily routine. And hey, is the material for the next presentation ready? Michael continued with a frown. Yes, I've sent it by email. Haven't you seen it? It was the document I had stayed late to finish yesterday. I'm asking if you've printed and compiled it, not emailed it. Me? Was I supposed to? Who else would it be? He approached me aggressively. Lately, tasks that I usually wouldn't have to do somehow end up being my responsibility. Just as I was about to object, I'm sorry, I forgot. Matthew, an intern in our department, started to print in a panic. But Michael's anger didn't subside, glaring at both me and Matthew. Isn't this because your guidance is lacking, Daniel? I'm very sorry. Matthew looked like he was about to cry, worried that I was getting scolded because of him. Seeing his expression, Michael left with an unnecessary remark. Hurry up, incompetent. I felt sorry for Matthew getting scolded because of me. No, it's clearly my mistake, yet you're getting blamed. I'm sorry. Matthew was downcast. It can't be helped. You had to organize the customer data as well. Thank you, but why is it always you who? Indeed, Michael always seemed to target me. He probably looked down on a new, insignificant salesman like me. Even with his achievements, he would probably be in the middle of the company hierarchy. It's not uncommon for complaints about Michael to come from other departments or customers. I wonder if I'm just an outlet for his stress, I thought, as I continued to be overwhelmed by the increasing daily workload. Yesterday, I was running around preparing for the presentation, and I fell asleep as soon as I got home. The next morning, the alarm rang, and I hurriedly took a shower and left the house. I could make it to work on time as I ran. Reaching the bus stop and panting from the effort, suddenly I heard a sharp breaking sound. A man and a woman were lying on the sidewalk. It seemed to be a young man, probably a student on a bicycle, and a young woman. They might have collided. I rushed over in a panic. Are you all right? The man quickly got up and responded when I called out. The woman, however, didn't react. She seemed unharmed at first glance, but as I continued to talk to her, she moved slightly. I checked her pulse and breathing briefly. They seemed normal. But she might have hit her head, so it would be best to go to the hospital immediately. Excuse me, is she all right? I couldn't avoid her in time. The anxious-looking male student asked me. Are you injured at all? Yes, I'm fine. That's good. This lady seems to be all right too, but... As I was speaking, the woman slowly opened her eyes. Ouch. Are you okay? Do you feel any discomfort? Are your hands or feet numb? I don't think there's any numbness. I'm fine. The woman answered while opening and closing her hands repeatedly. There don't seem to be any major injuries, but you might have hit your head. It might be best to go to a hospital. Oh, right, the hospital. What should I do? There's a big hospital just a little way from here. If you'd like, I can. I stopped mid-sentence when I realized I wouldn't make it to work on time if this continued. Excuse me, may I make a quick call to my workplace? After addressing them, I hurriedly made a call. I'm sorry, this is Daniel. I've come across an accident between a cyclist and a pedestrian and will be slightly delayed. As I relayed this to a colleague over the phone, I could hear Michael's voice in the background. I'm sorry, Michael is. Oh? It seemed like my colleague was abruptly cut off as Michael's voice got closer. Hey. Startled, I instinctively pulled the phone away from my ear. "Hello, Michael. Sorry to bother you, but you're going to be late. On the day of an important presentation. That's some nerve you've got." Michael was clearly furious. "I'm well aware of the presentation, but there's someone injured right in front of me. I believe that it's only natural to help someone who's injured in front of you, even if you're not a doctor. I couldn't just leave the injured person behind." "Don't think that excuse will fly. Incompetent Daniel. You might as well never come to the office again. You are fired." Michael raised his voice. I was taken aback by his words. "That can't be. Please wait a moment. I never imagined I would be fired." I was in a panic. "It's actually a good timing since HR was telling me to cut down on the sales staff. You don't have to come in from next month." "But Michael, wait, let me explain at least." I wanted to at least explain my side, but Michael wasn't willing to listen. "I don't have time for this. Just disappear already." With that, Michael hung up forcefully. Just like that, I was fired from the company. Are you okay?" The woman looked at me with concern. It seemed Michael's loud yelling was audible to her as well. Well, I'm used to it." I laughed weakly. "That's terrible. Being fired just like that." She seemed almost as shocked as if it had happened to her. Looking at her again, I realized she was a very beautiful woman. "It's my fault. I'm so sorry. You got fired because you helped me." "It's fine. I'm just a regular salesman, but I did what anyone would do." My words seemed to surprise her. "It's not just something anyone would do at all. It's such a noble act." I'm sorry for eavesdropping, but is this Michael you mentioned, the sales manager at ABC Trading Company?" "Yes, that's correct. It's ABC Trading Company, which is close to here. Oh, my name is Daniel, and I was a salesman there, but, well." Not knowing what to say, I laughed self-deprecatingly, though I was actually shocked inside. "It's absurd that someone like you would be fired." She seemed to be indignant. I truly wanted to learn more about sales at my current company. Being fired without having gained anything from the experience, except for being burdened with menial tasks, felt unjust. After thinking for a moment, she said, "May I make a call?" "Yes, of course, if you'd like. I can accompany you to the hospital afterwards." I also suggested the hospital to the other male student, but he said he was fine and left. If he says he's okay, then there's nothing more I can do. I made sure to tell him to go to the hospital immediately if anything seemed off. Even if you're not a doctor, you can't just ignore someone injured in front of you. "Thank you very much for your kindness." She thanked me politely, smiling. Seeing her smile, I felt assured that I hadn't done anything wrong. The woman who had been on the phone suddenly turned to me and said, "Would you mind speaking to my father?" "Your father? Sure, I can do that," I said as I took the phone from her. "Hello, Daniel. Thank you for helping my daughter, Sarah." I heard a deep male voice on the line. "No, I just happened to pass by. I was just about to take her to the hospital." "Thank you so much. I've arranged for a car, so please get in." A car. Just as I muttered that, 10 black luxury cars pulled up to the curb. "Daniel, please, come this way." Urged by her, I got into a luxury car for the first time in my life. I remember when I was playing in the park with my brother as a child, and he collapsed without me noticing. As a young child, not knowing what to do, I panicked. At that moment, a woman rushed over to help. "Are you okay, little one? Is this your big brother?" she had asked. When I nodded, she said, "Let's move your brother to a cool shade. It's all right. He's probably suffering from heat stroke, so cooling him down should help." The woman swiftly attended to my brother, and even called for an ambulance. She explained everything to the paramedics and accompanied us in the ambulance. By the time my brother woke up and I explained what happened, our parents had arrived at the hospital, and the woman had already left. Later, when my family went to her house to thank her, she said, "I'm neither a nurse nor a paramedic, just an ordinary person. I happened to see your brother collapse and did what anyone would do." Inspired by her spirit, I decided I wanted to help those in need or seeking help. Lost in these thoughts, the car, which I had boarded without understanding the situation, arrived at the company I work for. The very company from which I had just been fired. As I got out of the car, Michael came storming out with a furious look, as if he was about to pounce on me. "What have you done? What do you mean?" Michael was trembling visibly. Though angry, he lacked his usual air of condescension and superiority. As I stood there bewildered, I noticed a man approaching from behind Michael. He was a dignified figure clad in an expensive-looking suit. He looked familiar. Michael, unaware of the man, continued to confront me. "It's all because of you, But Sarah's single remark halted Michael's advance. "Dad." At this, Michael slowly turned around. And then, he began to tremble violently. "Sarah, are you all right? Are you injured?" "Yes, I'm fine, thanks to Daniel here." "Daniel, thank you so much." "No, please, just make sure to go to the hospital if anything comes up." After thanking me again, Sarah headed towards the company's reception area. After seeing Sarah's off, I turned back to the man. I finally remembered. I've been working at this company for 2 years. I hadn't interacted with him much, only seeing his picture on the company website, so I hadn't recognized him. "You're President Miller's daughter, aren't you?" Turns out, Sarah's father was the president of a major client company. After seeing the president of the client company, Michael, who had been silent with a pale face, nervously began to speak. President Miller, about this incident. According to Sarah, you told Daniel he was incompetent and fired, didn't you?" "Well, that's because Daniel said he was going to be late. On the day of an important presentation with clients like yourself, President Miller, I thought it was highly irresponsible." Michael explained in a voice that was barely audible, almost disappearing. "So you were saying it's okay to leave my injured daughter unattended?" "No, that's not what I meant." As Michael flistered, President Miller continued in a low, cold voice. "So if you were in Daniel's position, you would have ignored my daughter and just gone to work and carried out the presentation, is that it?" "Well," Michael faltered, his face turning pale. "If one can ignore an injured person right in front of them, they are not worthy of respect as a human being. A presentation recommended by such a person is out of the question," President Miller said firmly. Michael looked like he might collapse at any moment as he staggered backward. "Michael, I've heard you're close with the HR department, but I don't think you have the authority to make personal decisions. The final decision lies with the HR department and the president of this company. Don't get too full of yourself just because you're the head of the sales department. Daniel will not be fired." President Miller spoke with a commanding tone. Michael, looking as though he might crumble, fled the scene. "President Miller, why?" Still in shock, I asked President Miller. After receiving a call from Sarah, I was hesitant to intervene in another company's affairs, but I made some inquiries into the sales department. What I found was appalling. He's been doing as he pleases for quite some time. There's no way you could be fired. Please continue to bring smiles to many people in this company. With that, President Miller smiled kindly. His smile resembled Sarah's. "Thank you very much. I look forward to continuing to work with you." I expressed my gratitude. Thus, I was spared from being fired. Following this incident, a departmental reform was carried out by the President's orders. I was appointed to the position of Section Chief, and Michael, who had incurred the wrath of President Miller, was transferred to a subsidiary in a remote area. It was, in essence, a demotion. I heard through the grapevine that he was leading a gloomy life, completely disregarding his previous career. Colleagues who have been intimidated by Michael were relieved, and relations with colleagues from other departments and clients improved. I dedicated myself to my work, making meaningful contributions both inside and outside the company. Daniel, are you available right now? Yeah, what's up? Matthew approached me. A client called with a concern. Got it, put them through to me. Sorry to bother you when you're busy. I'm really glad that we've come to have such casual conversations. With Michael gone, the atmosphere in our department has improved significantly. Everyone is working more freely, with a healthy sense of tension. It's an environment where even small concerns can be shared. I believe these small accumulations are key to maintaining good relationships with our clients. Sarah was taken to the hospital for a checkup just to be safe, and thankfully, everything was normal. Recently, as a gesture of gratitude, President Miller invited me out for a meal, and we went to a high-end seafood restaurant. Dining with President Miller was quite nerve-wracking, but Sarah was there too, sharing various stories, which made for an enjoyable time. If I had gone to work as usual that day and attended the presentation, I might not have been there to help. Thinking about it, oversleeping that day might have been a stroke of luck. I'm really glad I was able to help someone in need at that moment. Being able to assist others, even in unexpected situations, made me incredibly happy. I want to continue learning and gaining more experience to bring smiles to people's faces. I plan to continue my career in sales.